That's it for me.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jade Thompson. I've prepared some answers, so I will be reading them. I'm a non-binary person and a professional artist in trade. I've lived in Cornwall almost all of my life. My pronouns are they, them, their. I'm mixed race Indigenous, namely Mohawk and white. I grew up living between Cornwall and Akwesasne, and that specific heritage has greatly impacted how I view myself as a person and how I identify. Thank you.
Okay, Jade.
All right.
They look a lot younger than 43.
I got that on video too. That's great. Thank you very much.
Definitely getting a following.
All right, so 2Spirit to me means there are two wolves inside of you. So one, and I'm just kidding. So I have a real answer. It's a bit meandering. Bear with me. All right, so to me, being 2Spirit means embodying two different halves of one duality, so one big whole. And yes, this is a specific nod to the gender binary. It is being a woman, yes, but it is also being a man. It's a very fine line I walk, and I'm happy to walk it. There's no other path for me. But sometimes, yeah, you do sway towards what is considered masculine, sometimes swaying towards what is considered feminine. I do this when I get dressed every day. You know, we make that decision on how I will present, absolutely. But not everybody 2Spirit does that. We are not a monolith. I don't speak for every non-binary 2Spirit Indigenous person, but I speak to my own experience and identity. People are very unique, you know, they come in all different presentations. So being from a matrilineal society, us Mohawk place a strong importance on the women in the family, particularly the elderly women. The earth itself is commonly attributed as being a mother figure, and many aspects of our Mohawk creation story are assigned either a male or female role. It is the way of our people to be very accepting of others in nature. Of course, there are gender nonconforming precedents in our history because there are gender nonconforming people in our history. Being 2Spirit is as natural as breathing. We're here. Oh. Yeah. For my answer, I would say that Liz is absolutely correct. The 2SLGBTQI people in my life, in your life, the people we know and love, we come out of the closet quite often. And that's throughout many different periods of our lives. So that is to say, we trust that the people we're confiding in won't weaponize or demonize our identity against us. So we reveal a very tangible, a very honest, a very raw and emotional part of our identity as a person. That's how we see ourselves. It's how we want to be seen, and it's how we want to be understood. So it isn't an embarrassing thing to come out multiple times, but often we're made to feel that way. Embarrassed always for revealing another facet of ourselves. So that shame and embarrassment is based on how the straight people feel about coming out and not about how we as a 2LGBTQIA plus community feel about coming out. So it can be as simple as saying, I'm 2SLGBTQIA plus. Or it's as complicated as when I came out. I wrote a long letter to my parents on July 4th, 2020. I was in my late 20s and I felt so curious and then understanding and then relating and then knowing that I was non-binary. It started with me doing some Instagram scrolling, you know, as you do, coming upon another neurodivergent person's profile and content about being neurodivergent and non-binary. So I wrote out that letter, getting it all off my chest in a painful but beautifully cathartic kind of way, feeling anxiety and fear as they read it, crying as I wrote it, crying as they both read it, fearing parts of me, and honestly just fearing the worst and hoping for the best. But feeling that gender identity bliss for one of the first times in my life, that gender euphoria, knowing the parts of me that were so true and real, they would never have to hide away again. But also feeling very scared. I was giving them power over me, revealing this very raw part of myself. I was letting them take the wheel for a moment. And it went well. They were like, yes, and is that it? And I'm very, very thankful for that. And I do not take that for granted. So it's also sitting in my friend's yard telling everyone at our gathering, the people closest to me, that I would prefer to not be referred to as a woman or, you know, just refer to me as a person or even dude or friend, pal, buddy. And I wasn't sure about pronouns, but she, they felt appropriate at the time. People stared and nodded and smiled, and then we just talked about other stuff that wasn't as anxiety-inducing for me particularly. It was just accepted. And some did struggle with my new pronouns. And within half a year, when I went to only they, them pronouns, it was more of a written online message than an in-person conversation at that point. So I'd already found my circle, confided in them, and then the next step came naturally. All right. That was very well said, and I will touch on a couple points you made. So without a doubt, personally, my mother has been my biggest support as a community member. We've been through a lot together in life. If I wasn't an atheist, I'd say she's my guardian angel because she's been both my protector and my biggest role model. So she is intelligent and caring. She's hilarious. All we do is crack jokes together. This kid knows. And if we're not laughing together, we're crying together. You know, it's not my place to say what place she has in our 2S LGBTQIA plus community, but she is part of our community. I hold a place in my heart for people like my mother, folks who aren't necessarily out. So we should all be very careful with that kind of knowledge. That knowledge is a privilege. And unfortunately, this is our reality. And it shouldn't go without saying that there are people who would harm us just for being unapologetically ourselves. And how cruel and twisted that is. It's messed up that we're in that kind of world. It's not fair. And I wanted to make a point on what Ariel said about the filtering process. I think that's a very real part about the trans experience, the non-binary experience, the gender non-conforming experience, the 2S LGBTQIA plus